Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another live stream. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever it is you call home on planet Earth. I know over in the United Kingdom, Europe, UAE, we have people from the UAE stop in. It's already dinner time. We are approaching lunchtime here in Arizona, and I've got some breaking news to share with you guys. A couple of things that I want to talk about. We touched on this yesterday, and we're going to revisit it again briefly this morning. There's been a huge event that just occurred on the surface of the sun. What's up, guys? Hey, Rick. Good to see y'all. Kelly Birdie Brain. Oh, by the way, if you guys want to become a Star family member like Miss Kelly, here's the link right here. If you're interested, let's see. I'll post it in there right now while I'm thinking about it because right there it is. That's the link to become a Star family member. You'll get a star by your name in the chat box, and your name will obviously be highlighted. But down to business, here we go. There was just a huge event that just an Earth-directed event headed towards the Earth, a massive canyon, 300,000 miles long at least, and probably 100K wide. Unbelievable. You don't see this very often. We're going to take a look at that here in just a moment. We've been talking about the flooding, and I want to show you guys the map that's revealed to me for the last several months. You can see it culminating yesterday, and then it faded as the sun went down. Well, once the sun reaches its peak again today, and in fact, we're there, the storms are going to brew again. As you can see, they're already starting. Over here looking at the GOES. This is the GOES 19 now we're up to. But the storms are starting to brew again. There were flash flood warnings in Florida this morning. Those have since expired, but there'll be more this afternoon as the conditions are just, they're more than favorable for the heavy downpours that we're seeing. We saw flooding up in New York, New Jersey, and I know I've been looking and I haven't been able to find a whole lot of flooding out of Lakeland, Florida, Plant City, Florida. But during our live stream yesterday, we saw it as it happened. 8 to 9 inches of rain fell. In fact, just above 9 inches of rain fell in a very short period of time. They're saying 4 hours, but I think it fell quicker than that. Just an unbelievable scene. You're looking at some unbelievable scenes right here. These are out of the New Jersey area. The exact locations, I'm not real sure on. I think Plainfield. There's some video footage out of New York in the New York subway systems. There's another video out of New Jersey where very, very quickly yesterday, the roads and streets turned into rivers. Subway turned into a very precarious situation. You don't want to get trapped in a subway that's flooding. Look at the rivers going down the roads, washing away cars. This is in a very densely populated area. There's the car right there floating down the road in New Jersey. Another car over there underwater. You got to be careful sometimes if you guys buy cars at auctions. Hey, my moderator's in the house. Yay, moderator. Massive flood in New Jersey. And you know what, guys? It could happen again. The climate is more than juiced for more of this activity. So just know that. It's going to be a wet summer. Cars here floating down the road in New Jersey. Unbelievable. But what I was talking about, like you can see this car right here. It's underwater, right? Obviously the inside's more than likely filled up with water too. These cars sometimes end up at auctions, and they're, sold as is. But that car right there, all of the electronic components, not only that car, but this car right here, all of the electronic components are going to be ruined in a sense. But those cars not being damaged, if they still run, they'll go to an auction somewhere and they'll get whatever they can for them. So you want to be careful buying a car that's been in a flood. Here's another situation that was caught on camera in New York. Traveling Banana. Notice the storm drain lids here popping up. Those things weigh at least 100 pounds. Are you serious? Subway system in New York, full of water yesterday, filled up super fast. We were watching this rainfall on our live stream yesterday afternoon. We saw it as it was unfolding in real time. And what was happening, it was kind of, the storms were small, but very intense. I've been looking at the river gauges up in the Pennsylvania, New York area. Let's see where we're at here. That's the Hurricane Center. I want to talk about that. Yeah, the river gauges down all up and down the East Coast, and it aligns with what we've been seeing here. And this afternoon, here in a couple hours, the storms will start to build, and we'll see more flash flooding today, guys. It's coming. This situation right here reminded me of what occurred on the Guadalupe River in Texas. Look at the spike here. This is in northern Pennsylvania, Clarion River at Ridgeway. Notice the vertical line here goes from essentially, what, 2 feet, 3 feet to 25, went straight vertical. That's alarming. That's what happened in Central Texas. And that river gauge, I think it's a creek that goes through a community in northern Pennsylvania. Right up in here somewhere. Can anybody confirm or deny this? Is this even true? The Clarion River at Ridgeway. Sometimes I see these things. I mean, the weather, just like the other day when I saw the air quality out here in Arizona at 500 and possibly higher. The graph only goes to 500. I thought it was a glitch. Is this a glitch? I hope so, because that would be a new record. The major flooding level is at 20 feet for this location. The record's 23.1. This is 25.5. And it's right up in here in the northern Pennsylvania area. Clarion River at Ridgeway. Can anybody confirm or deny this? In fact, let's go to Google Earth and see what we can find. We'll just do this on the fly. Clarion River. Clarion River. Right there. Was it Ridgeway? Let's look and see. I want to get this right. Yes, Ridgeway. Clarion River, Ridgeway, Pennsylvania. Okay, here's Ridgeway, Pennsylvania. Let's go there. I did look at it right there. Yeah, that's in northern Pennsylvania. Oh, there's the river. And there's the Clarion River. Oh, wow. Woo, Lordy. Okay, can anybody confirm or deny this? This is a river that runs right through the center of a town. And if that is indeed the case, this town is underwater. Because this is the river gauge showing it's at 25.5. Unless that's just some sort of a glitch. I'm just passing this on because after what happened in Texas, I'm watching all this stuff like a hawk. I really am. I haven't used the river gauges. I used to use this every single day. And now I'm going back to using this as one of my many tools that I use. That's alarming. So hopefully that didn't happen. You can see in the New York area, things are back to normal for now. Even in New Jersey, things are back to normal. I'm going to take a screenshot of this just in case. Clarion River at Ridgeway. So there's a town right there, Ridgeway, Pennsylvania. Anybody in here from Ridgeway, Pennsylvania? Boy, that would be great. I mean, I don't want to see anybody caught in that, but we'll come back to that here in just a minute. I want to give you guys an update on the possible hurricane that's forming in the northern Gulf of Mexico. This is what the situation looks like today. Obviously, the path has changed just a little from what we were talking about. In fact, I have it. Where do I have it at? Right. Let me make this a little smaller so I can see what I'm doing here. Bear with me, guys. Okay, there we go. Yeah, the path has changed just a little bit. This is what I saw a couple of days ago, having the eye wall going more in towards New Orleans and the Lake Pontchartrain area. Now the center of rotation is more south, headed towards possibly Lafayette, Lake Charles. This is the situation right now over at Ventus Sky, and you can see this thing has the potential to become quite large. So we could see a big system, and this is on the 17th at 5 o'clock in the morning. Heavy rainfall in southern Louisiana, moving into Texas. We can step it forward a day or two, and you can see this thing is massive. This is the rain associated with the potential storm, and they're even showing this over here at the National Hurricane Center. I verified this information from a variety of different places. So, did I say Gulf of Mexico? I'm sorry, guys. You are so right. Here, let me type it in here. I will even type it in here because I am so programmed from saying that it is Gulf of America. I knew that. My bad. You guys correct me when I'm out of pocket. That was wrong. I did not mean to say that. I'm just so programmed to saying that because I've said it a million times over the years. So yes, it is the Gulf of America. And as you can see over here at the National Hurricane Center, they're saying regardless of the development, this may not develop into a full-fledged named hurricane, which would be Dexter. But they're saying regardless, heavy rainfall could produce localized flash flooding that we've been seeing and we're going to see again today. There's going to be more flash flooding today. Over portions of Florida through midweek. That would be tomorrow and the next day. Remember, Friday will be here before we know it. Heavy rainfall could also produce flash flooding for portions of the north central Gulf of America coast during the middle of the latter portions of the week. Chance of formation over the next 48 hours, 40%. Chance of formation over the next 7 days, 40%. But the chances of formation keep increasing. At one point, there was a 0 to 20, and then it went to 20, and now it's at 40. So usually when it's a steady increase like that, it's going to happen. So we'll have to watch that very closely and see exactly where it goes. But this map's going to change here quite drastically by this afternoon. Once the heat fully gets everything all primed, you're going to see some more very heavy rain showers later on this afternoon, guys. So be ready. And this evening, probably very similar to what we saw yesterday. I want to show you guys what happened on the surface of the sun here just a few minutes ago. You can see behind me here, I've got the sun playing right there. That's the SDO, and that is a version of the one of the many wavelengths. You can see the sun. They have about 10 to choose from. Look what happened. Let me go to the SDO, which is right here. Let me get this started. Okay. That filament that we've been watching in the northeastern quadrant, right up in here, just jumped off the surface of the sun. And guess where it's headed? Right there. It just happened. I'm not sure why it went dark, but the filament did jump off. I have it on video right here. I got it before it got all discombobulated. Watch what happens. There's the massive filament. We've been watching this for a couple of days. It jumps off and it's headed towards the Earth. There it goes. There it just went. And look at the canyon it left behind. That is absolutely massive. They call that a canyon right there. Sometimes they refer to that as a canyon of fire. But either way, it left a massive canyon on the surface of the sun, telling us that a huge amount of plasma just left the surface of the sun, and it's headed in the general direction of the Earth. More than likely, it will come directly at the Earth, depending on how fast this thing is moving. It's way too early to tell. I have where do I have Soho? I have Soho somewhere on here. Again, I have about 50 windows open at the same time. There's SDO. Where's my Soho? Oh, I have it over there. We're going to bring it over here. Absolutely, we're going to bring it over here. You bet. Soho, Lasco, C2. Where's my Soho instrument? We like Soho. Then there's bears leaving bears and mountain lions leaving Yellowstone. What? Why is that happening? Have you guys seen that? Yeah, it's kind of strange. Here we go. Here's the movie theater. Show you guys what is up with the sun and where the energy is headed. Okay, today is, so we'll go 14, 15. Yeah, it just happened literally less than 90 minutes ago. This was a big, big event that could create a strong geomagnetic storm. Right now, based off of what this instrument's telling us, I'll show you guys what it shows. Um, it's very dense, we know that. So this cloud of energy has a lot of density, left a massive canyon on the surface of the sun, and you're going to be able to see what reveals right there. There it was. It was just updated. The last time I was over here, it was not updated. You can see the right there. Let me back it up just a little bit. Okay, there is the initial CME. It definitely created a CME for sure. CME's coming off the bottom of the sun. And those coincide with a massive filament that's about ready to erupt. And then there's the one along the northern edge. And there is an Earth-directed component with that, and the bottom ones too. So we could see an increase in solar activity here very soon. Not today, quite possibly tomorrow night. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, that's in the works. And that massive canyon, once again, here's a close-up view of the canyon that probably extends, I don't know, 300,000, probably 80,000 miles wide. It's hard to wrap your mind around such large numbers like that, but there it is. And all that plasma that was in that canyon is now headed in the vicinity of the Earth right there. And there's also a sunspot and active region back there that are capable of producing solar flares. We're going to see an increase in earthquake activity. We've been talking about the swarming down in especially Southern California. I know there's been a lot of swarming activity going on in Japan. We're all aware of that, but Southern California has been off the rails here lately. Are you serious? Let's go check the Salton Sea. The swarm has stopped. It's moved over closer to San Diego, but this swarmed for the better part of 24 hours and then just stopped. 106 on this map right here. And that's on the southern edge of the Salton Sea. In fact, there was one in the Salton Sea. A 2.4 yesterday, right in the middle of the Salton Sea. There have been swarms up in the elevations of the Sierra Nevadas, just all over down here. So that's something, again, that we're keeping a very close eye on, along with the mountain lions leaving Yellowstone. Mountain lions, and I heard bears. Anybody else hearing about this this movement? Is this a natural migration thing that these creatures do every year? But there's speculation swirling as animals are spotted fleeing Yellowstone. Yellowstone, the supervolcano caldera, is something that we watch every day over here, and we have for years. We've been following, especially this seismograph. Maybe this is what these animals are sensing, this weird energy. And today, I'd have to say, you're looking at the seismograph here at the northern rim of the supervolcano caldera, right up here. This is where the seismograph at. This is the caldera. Right there's the caldera. There's activity that's been going on now for, good grief, over a month. So are these animals, you think, leaving the caldera area, going south? People are, I've got a video, I'll share it in this afternoon's video. Yeah, I've seen two videos. I think I've seen video. I wasn't quite sure. I had to do some research on it, but I saw a video this morning as I was eating breakfast. It showed bears that were like the video I saw earlier. There's bison. I also saw right there. There they are. There's the video of the bears right there. Where did I see that at? Right there. At Yellowstone, migrating south. Bears, bison, and lions. And that's what he's talking about, the bears migrating south, like they're sensing something up at Yellowstone. Y'all familiar with Yellowstone and the habits? What's up, Graham? How you doing today, Graham? Look at that. That's a lot of bears. It's kind of strolling down the road. And you know that the animals are very sensitive to the energies of the earth more so than we are. So they're going to sense these things first. This is Yellowstone. Bears, mountain lions. I don't know. You guys tell me. Cloud seeding messing up the animals. Animals will leave. Elephants stampede. Unbelievable. I know. Ravens Wolf 57. Good morning. Good afternoon. Yeah, that was pretty weird. And that's over here at the article. I knew I saw that video somewhere. I wasn't making it up. I don't make things up. I saw it somewhere else, not over here at greenmatters.com. But it goes on to say Yellowstone National Park is home to a wide range of animal life, according to the NPS, the National Park Service. 300 types of birds, 16 fish species, and 67 different types of animals or mammals roam around the park. But for some reason, and I have a video that I'm working on that was just shared with me of mountain lions also, big lions walking down the road, just like you saw the bears right there, moving towards the lower elevations as if they're getting away from the Yellowstone supervolcano caldera, which there's Ridgeway. I hope that instrument is malfunctioning, because if it wasn't malfunctioning, the river gauge that I just shared with you guys, there's a river gauge right here, and it was showing a basically 22-foot increase in water right in the middle of Ridgeway, Pennsylvania. Hopefully that is just a glitch. But the other day when our which Ridgeway is right here, I'll show you guys again. There were some heavy rains up here yesterday, and maybe the water is all kind of roaming through the town and caused the river gauge to maybe break. I don't know. But that's very drastic. That's on the same level as what happened in Central Texas in the Guadalupe River, when the river went up 20 feet in a matter of no time. Well, that did the same thing according to that right there. You can see it. Get my handy dandy zoom feature. Here we go. Why are you acting up? Now you're normally doing really good. There we go. Went from, let's say, 3 feet straight vertical to 25.5 feet. Ay. Not cool. Yellowstone, I want to go there real quick on Google Earth. Here we go. The supervolcano caldera. Why are the animals cruising south? There's Yellowstone. There's Yellowstone Lake. And this is where the seismographs are at right here. These are where the seismos are at that we watch every day. And, we're trying to understand what's going on up here along the northern edge. Is there a new geyser forming? Is there some sort of magma intrusion going on? Because let's face it, it's a supervolcano. It's big, it's strong, at least underground anyway. I would expect a little bit of movement on these seismographs. I really would, and it doesn't surprise me to see the activity on there. But for the animals to start migrating south, I don't know. It's summertime up here in the northern hemisphere. I wouldn't think that the you guys know the old rule of thumb: animals follow the food. They follow the food. Some birds and creatures like that, they migrate because of light. They know when the days are getting longer and shorter, and that's what compels them to move from one location to another. But primarily, it's food. They follow the food. Why would they have to relocate in the summertime up here? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I have a video that I'll share in this afternoon's video of mountain lions doing the same thing. So kind of weird. Anybody have any inside information on the situation at Yellowstone? Howdy from Houston. What's up, Sharon? Guys, make sure you become Star Family members. We're trying to get the Star Family members up there, so everybody in the chat here is a Star Family member. How cool is that? There's the link if you want to become a Star Family member. I don't even think you could buy me a cup of coffee for what that costs. I think it's like $5. Become a Star Family member. Have a star by your name. Have some fun. But yeah, whatever's going on at Yellowstone is a bit mysterious. We follow Yellowstone every single year. every day pretty much of every year. And I just don't remember, especially during the summer, animals migrating south away from the Old Faithful and the caldera up there, the just out of the national park, like they sense something. I don't know. Maybe they're more keen with the environment than we are. Even though we do sense things, humans have a biological antenna. We are biological antennas, all of us are. You can see the rain in Florida still coming down. This is following yesterday's major flash flooding event in Lakeland near Plant City. We saw, let me see if I can find it right here. Yeah, right there it is. Where are my numbers? Oh, they're over here on the other computer. That's okay. 8 and 9 inches of rain fell in probably a 2.5 hour period, if that. But I would say 2.5 hours would be right about on the money. You can see rain coming down again in Deltona, Sanford, Orlando, an area called Dr. Phillips, which is it's a it's a community in the Orlando area. I'm familiar with this area because I used to live here many years ago. Winter Park, Zellwood, Lake Mary, seeing some rain, and you can see another line of thunderstorms starting to form over here. Very strong thunderstorms. Here they come. Because keep in mind, in the Florida area along the East Coast in general, it's already 2:20 in the afternoon. So the heating elements in the afternoon heating is prime. It's right now it's at its peak or it's peaking. So these storms are going to rise up, and you can see they're rising up right now along the east coast of Florida. This is going to be a common trend all up and down the East Coast. Yesterday, I think I saw, yeah, and I'm seeing them again today. See these little green, or not green, the brown boxes? Those are special weather statements from the National Weather Service. Yesterday, there were several on here, more than I think I'd ever seen at one particular time. And that's because the atmosphere is more than primed for very heavy, freakish rainfall events that, like, I was just shocked when I saw that 9 inches of rain had fallen in Plant City, Florida. Just unbelievable. And they were saying 4 hours, so that would be what, 2 inches, 2.25 inches per hour, which is very, very heavy. I think it was more than that. I think it was in the neighborhood of at least 3 inches per hour. Those are tropical storm numbers. Very, very heavy rainfall. But if you've got the management, if the lay of the land and the water can be managed properly in these cities, I don't know if it can handle 9 inches of rain like that quick. I really don't. There's going to be flash flooding. Looking at the situation over in Japan, the swarms continuing, not quite as much. There's another 5.2 that occurred today, just a few hours ago, and another 5.2. 1525 universal, and this 5.2 was at 420 universal. So about 11 hours apart. So the earthquakes are still occurring in Japan. They're expecting some sort of a mega quake. Nobody knows exactly when, but they're fairly confident. And this is coming from the Japanese officials. They follow earthquakes obviously very closely over here, have for years, because Japan is an earthquake prone part of the world. Look at the fault lines. See the red lines here? And there's more. These are just the bigger ones on the map. It's in an earthquake prone zone. So there have been big earthquakes over here historically, and there will be in the future. You know, the history repeats itself. So yeah, there's going to be another big earthquake over here, but nobody really knows when. They're saying within the next 30 years or sooner, there could be another megaquake that could create a tsunami, and you know the story, just a great big old mess. So hopefully, you know, it doesn't happen, but more than likely the way the earth is just engineered, this is just how it works. Looking at the Pacific Ring of Fire, this is the Ring of Fire right here. That's what they call this area because it's loaded with volcanoes. And there's even volcanoes along the west coast of the United States, obviously down through here in Central America and Mexico. There's volcanoes all along the west coast of South America, obviously up here in Alaska. The Aleutians are loaded with volcanoes, and then volcanoes all the way down the western rim of the Pacific Ocean. through Japan, especially in Japan. There's a lot of volcanoes over there. And then down here into Indonesia, the Philippines, volcanoes galore. And then over here through the Tonga area, Vanuatu, and then down through New Zealand, the Ring of Fire. And that's where the majority of the earthquakes are. It's very clear that is part of earthquake activity, volcanic eruption. So with what's happening on the sun, we just saw a massive flare. Actually, it wasn't a flare, it was a filament eruption. Here's another look at it right here. And then you can see it behind me. Actually, let me update this because this needs to be updated. We should be able to see more of the flare and associated CME. This was a big event right here, guys. We don't want the C2. Do we want the C2? Yeah, why not? Let's see what it's got to offer. Wow. That is a lot of plasma. Holy mackerel. No, really, that's a lot. Makes you wonder how long can the sun just sit up there and basically just shed itself day after day after day after day after day. The hydrogen helium ratios change all the time. I think they change a lot more during solar maximum. That's why we see an increase in solar flaring and massive filaments like this that come off the surface of the sun. There was one down here in the south, this would be the southwestern. You just saw it right there jump off, and that's what you're going to see over there on the Soho right behind me, right over my shoulder here. That's what just came off the southwestern limb of the sun. Then we've got activity that just came off the northeastern limb of the sun. So maybe the animals up at Yellowstone are feeling the energy of the sun. Maybe they know that Yellowstone is also feeling this energy. I do feel that, and it's a scientific fact. We know that solar flaring and CMEs interact with the Earth also stir up volcanic activity around the Earth. So that's not a secret. That's knowledge that we've known about for a long time. What else have I got here for you guys? I've got some cool stuff for you guys this afternoon. You guys will see the lions leaving the Yellowstone Park. Kind of eerie, to see all these animals just getting out of Dodge. Looking at the power outage situation right now, this will change by this afternoon. It just changed now. Have 22,000 off the grid in California. I don't know if this is part of a power saving initiative that they have going on over there, but California is 9 out of 10 days showing over 10,000 customers off the grid. And I think it's a power saving thing. Georgia, 6,000, Texas, 5,000, North Carolina, Florida, each 3,000 respectively. We looked at the supervolcano and it still looks wild and wacky. I'm not quite sure what's going on up there. I think there's definitely ground movement. Looking at the dry air coming across the Atlantic Ocean, making the 4,000-mile journey. There won't be any hurricanes out here in the Atlantic Ocean anytime soon. As long as the climate looks like that environment is absolutely, hurricanes can't form in that environment. It's just not possible. Can they form up here in the Gulf? Maybe the Gulf of America. Got it that time. I didn't call it Mexico. You guys got to understand, I've been calling it that for years. But it is America, you're right. But no hurricanes out here in the Atlantic. Not a chance. This is what we're watching right here. Let me back it out so you guys can see exactly where this is at. This has been changing as we talked about yesterday. A forecast, especially with what's going on in Antarctica and what I showed you guys at the equator yesterday with regard to the Pacific Ocean anomaly. These weather forecasts are going to get even more difficult to predict, and sometimes they can be tricky. This could be a large-scale rain event, whether it develops into a named hurricane or not. So just be aware of that if you're in southern Louisiana, even southeastern Texas in the Houston area. I believe there's another place down here that Port Arthur. I remember Port Arthur was involved in the Hurricane Harvey. Oh my goodness, Hurricane Harvey. I had a source that I use and have used for years. It was right on the money. When Hurricane Harvey was down here in the southern Gulf, drifting forward north, I was looking at rainfall totals, potential rainfall totals, and I had one of my sources say 50 inches. And I'm like, Psh, ain't no way. It happened. I was like, wow, you guys were the only ones that said 50 inches, and you were right. I was just like, wow, you guys are good. You guys are very good. But looking at the situation right now, you can see moisture is starting to accumulate. Once again, in Florida, they'll probably see more flash flooding today. You can see moisture starting to accumulate in Kentucky, Indiana, moving over into Ohio, West Virginia. You guys be on alert. Watch these river gauges. I'm watching the river gauges as close as I can. Some of these are showing some quite disturbing numbers, like this one here in Ridgeway, Pennsylvania. If you guys know anything about that, drop a comment in the comment section, because that is very similar, almost identical to what happened in Central Texas. The river gauge went vertical, and you know the rest of the story. It's still not a good situation. And there's still rain that's going to be forming over the next few days in Central Texas. And there could be a tropical storm head that way. We'll just have to wait and see. I'm going to go ahead and switch gears over to the river gauge here in Maryland. That's what we're looking at now. I'm just looking for anomalies like we saw in Texas. Let's check this one out. Everything looks good. The yellow is showing a little bit of increase. Orange is a dramatic increase, or at least it was. That one's coming back down. That's from the rain that went through the area the other day. Florida, these are peaking. Woo! Getting up to the major stage. That's in the Alafia River in Lithia, Pinecrest. That would be in western Florida. This is where the rain came down yesterday, supposedly 9 inches of rain. Looking at the rivers cresting at 11, 12 feet. That one's staying about the same. This is the Arcadia Horse Creek, or Horse Creek near Arcadia, cresting at 12.8. That one there is not a problem. We'll see what today brings. Here's a river outside of Tampa, cresting at 14.7 at Lithia, and there's a flood warning there. In fact, you can see Central Florida is under a flash flood watch and a flood warning. So the rain is going to continue again today, guys. So big heads up. And then the power outage we've already looked at. All right, guys, I've showed you everything that I've got on the slate for today. There's the CME that's associated with the massive filament eruption. That does have an Earth-directed component. We could see some activity here in the next 48 to 72 hours. So buckle up. Things are going to get interesting. We could see an increase in earthquake activity. We could see an increase in volcanic activity. We already are. We could see more volcanic activity. We could see more earthquakes. And then the storming, this geomagnetic storm or potential geomagnetic storm could arrive at the same time the storm is forming in the northern Gulf of America. Got it that time, right? So we're keeping an eye on that. So that could be a big one. You can see over here the personality of the storm stretches, oh wow, good 400 or 500 miles wide, potentially. Again, it's a forecast. It can and will change. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by. Anybody know anything about Yellowstone? I'm just curious about these animals up there. That's a telltale sign that there's something going on. These animals know what's up. Anybody know? Nemesis getting closer. Buckle up, baby. You're right, Mary. Buckle up and hang on. And you know, that's the thing. I do believe we have a binary companion. I think all stars have a binary companion. That's what I learned. One of the things I learned as a planet hunter. I'm still a planet hunter. I'm still part of the organization. I'm a member of the Kepler telescope family. And I did actively hunt planets for 2 years. But one thing I learned when I took the classes and had to, you know, understand how to read a star field, because that's what they would do. They would send you a star map, a little section of the sky, and it looked like it was just full of diamonds, you know. And it would be a I don't know, a 2-week loop, a month loop of stars taken by the Kepler. Really, really cool stuff. Beautiful. But I learned and through that experience that most stars that we see in the night sky have binary companions. So why wouldn't we? I mean, if we didn't have a binary companion, we would be in a very small percentage compared to everything else. So I think we do. And as someone mentioned here in the chat, when the binary companion, move around each other like they all of them do, when they get closer to each other, energy levels on both star systems increases. So we would see an increase in the solar output, which would also create a energy increase on all of the orbitals that orbit, this solar system: Earth, Venus, Mars, everything that has a geodynamo and an inner core, and they all do, are going to see an increase in activity. We would see more storms, more earthquakes, and more volcanoes. And we would see issues with our magnetic field. Our magnetic field would start to act a little bit wonky, if not completely disappear for a while. We would see compression events, all the more than normal. We see compression events all the time. In fact, years ago, there was a very strong compression event. I saw it through ISWA, and it almost looked like, at least temporarily, that we were detached from the sun temporarily. It came back, but it was a weird event. I'd never seen that before. So yeah, I do think we have a binary. You're welcome, Mary. Bears. I know bears are like, I don't want no part of a bear. You got to be kidding me. No way. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by. Let me get busy on the things I got for you this afternoon. We'll come back on around 3:30. I'll have more details about the Yellowstone situation. I'm working on some other really cool videos that were sent in today, and I'll share those with you guys this afternoon. But right now, this is what the storm looks like. They've got it named 93L. It's not Dexter yet. Could be Dexter in the northern Gulf here in maybe 48 hours or less. Either way, there should be a large amount of rainfall coming towards Louisiana, Texas over the next 48 to 72 hours. All right, guys, gonna hop off here and get back to work. Thanks for watching. Have a super day and be safe out there.